Part 1. The Shadow of St. Nicholas. In the quaint town of Eldridge, nestled beneath a blanket of snow and the cheerful glow of Christmas lights, an unsettling legend had taken root. Each year, as the festive season approached, a sense of dread would creep into the hearts of its residents. They whispered of a sinister figure, a perversion of the beloved Santa Claus, known only as the Shadow of St. Nicholas. Unlike the jolly, gift-bearing Santa of lore, this entity was feared for a far more chilling reason. It was said that on Christmas Eve, under the cover of night, the Shadow of St. Nicholas would visit the town. However, instead of leaving presents, he would steal away children, spiriting them off to a realm of darkness. There, the stolen children were transformed, their innocence twisted into something malevolent. They became his minions, mischievous and evil elves, forever bound to his will. The tale was often dismissed as a mere fable, a dark story to scare children into good behavior. Yet, as each Christmas Eve approached, a tangible fear gripped Eldridge. Parents would double-check their locks and keep a watchful eye on their children, while the little ones huddled in their beds, fearful of the slightest sound that might herald the arrival of the dreaded shadow. On one such Christmas Eve, the Carter family, new to Eldridge, prepared for the holiday, oblivious to the town's grim tradition. They decorated their home with festive cheer, laughing and singing carols, unaware of the danger that lurked in the shadows of the winter night. Their youngest, a bright-eyed boy named Tommy, was particularly excited for Santa's visit. He had written his letter, listing his wishes with the innocent belief of a child, eagerly awaiting the magic of Christmas morning. As night fell, the Carter family settled into bed, their home a cozy haven against the cold. But outside, the air grew colder, and a strange, eerie silence descended upon Eldridge. It was as if the very night was holding its breath. At the stroke of midnight, a chilling wind began to howl, carrying with it a faint, haunting melody, an ominous signal that the legend was more than just a tale. From the depths of the darkness, a figure emerged, cloaked in shadows, his presence malevolent and foreboding. The Shadow of St. Nicholas had arrived. Moving with ghostly silence, he approached the Carter home. His eyes, cold and unfeeling, glinted in the moonlight as he raised a gnarled hand. With a gesture, the locks unlatched, the windows opened, and he slipped inside, unseen and unheard. Tommy, restless with excitement, thought he heard a sound and crept out of bed. His eyes widened in awe and fear as he saw the figure, not the jolly Santa he had imagined, but a sinister specter cloaked in darkness. Before Tommy could scream or run, the shadow swooped down, enveloping the boy in an icy embrace. In an instant, they were gone, vanished into the night, leaving behind a chilling emptiness. The Shadow of St. Nicholas had claimed another child for his dark purpose. As dawn broke on Christmas morning, the Carter family awoke to a nightmare. Tommy was nowhere to be found, his disappearance leaving a void filled with despair and terror. The town of Eldridge stirred, the joy of Christmas tainted by the grim reminder of the legend that haunted their festive season. And in the realm of the shadow, Tommy began his transformation, his innocence fading as he was shaped into a creature of mischief and malice, an unwilling elf in the army of the Shadow of St. Nicholas. Part 2. The Realm of Shadows. In the heart of an otherworldly forest, shrouded in perpetual twilight, lay the domain of the Shadow of St. Nicholas. This cursed place, hidden from the eyes of the innocent, was where Tommy found himself. The air was thick with a chilling mist, and the trees loomed like silent sentinels, their twisted branches clawing at the sky. Tommy, still in a daze from his abrupt departure from the world he knew, looked around in disbelief. The land was a grotesque mirror of the North Pole again, with workshops nestled among the gnarled trees. But unlike the cheerful imagery of Santa's workshop, these were places of shadow and sorrow. The elves that toiled here were not the joyful helpers of lore, but twisted versions of children stolen from their beds, their laughter replaced with a haunting, empty gaze. The shadow of St. Nicholas, a tall, gaunt figure with a cloak as dark as the night itself, watched over his realm with cold, unfeeling eyes. He spoke in a voice that was like the winter wind, chilling and relentless. "Welcome, Tommy. You have been chosen to join my legion, to become one of my elves, forever bound to the will of the shadow." Tommy, frightened and confused, tried to resist, to plead for his return home. But the shadow's magic was strong, and with each passing moment, Tommy felt his memories of home and family slipping away, replaced by a growing sense of darkness. The other children, now elves, worked tirelessly, crafting not toys, but objects of mischief and malaise. They were bound by the shadow's spell, their identities lost, transformed into minions of his dark will. Tommy, fighting against the encroaching darkness in his heart, was forced to join them, his hands moving against his will, creating trinkets of chaos. Back in Eldridge, the Carter family was consumed by grief. The town, once festive, was now a place of mourning, each family holding their children a little tighter, knowing the terror that lurked in the shadows of Christmas Eve. The legend of the shadow of St. Nicholas, once a mere tale to frighten children, was now a palpable fear that gripped the town. Whispers spread of a curse, a darkness that had descended upon Eldridge, stealing away the joy and innocence of Christmas. As the days passed, a group of townsfolk, driven by sorrow and anger, gathered to uncover the truth behind the legend. They delved into ancient texts and forgotten lore, seeking a way to end the shadow's reign of terror. They learned of a ritual, one that could potentially break the spell and free the children. But it was fraught with danger and required a sacrifice, a willing soul to enter the realm of the shadow. The town was divided, fear and desperation clashing with the dread of facing the shadow himself. Yet among them, a resolve began to form. They would not let the shadow steal their children without a fight. They would venture into his cursed realm and bring an end to the nightmare. As the next Christmas Eve approached, a sense of grim determination settled over Eldridge. The townsfolk prepared for their perilous journey, unaware of the horrors that awaited them in the realm of the shadow of St. Nicholas. Part 3. The Quest for Redemption. The town of Eldridge, once bustling with festive cheer, had become a place of grim resolve. The townsfolk, united by their fear and loss, embarked on their perilous quest. Led by a small group of determined individuals, they sought to infiltrate the shadowy realm of St. Nicholas and rescue the stolen children. As Christmas Eve fell, the group gathered, equipped with ancient talismans and relics gleaned from their research. The air was thick with tension and unspoken fears. They knew that what lay ahead was a journey into the unknown, a path fraught with danger and dark magic. Under the cloak of the starless night, they performed the ritual. A circle was drawn in the snow, symbols of old etched within, and a chant, both haunting and somber, rose into the cold air. The fabric of reality trembled, and a portal shimmered into existence, a gateway to the shadow's domain. Stepping through the portal, the group found themselves in the heart of the shadowy forest. The atmosphere was oppressive, the air heavy with a sense of despair. The twisted tree seemed to whisper secrets in a language long forgotten, and the ground beneath their feet was cold and unyielding. The group pressed forward, guided by the faint echo of children's laughter, now twisted into a sinister chorus. The path was winding and treacherous, with shadows that seemed to move and watch with malevolent intent. Meanwhile, in the heart of the realm, Tommy was changing. The innocence in his eyes was giving way to a vacant stare, his thoughts and memories fading into the darkness. The other children, too, were lost in their transformation, their identities consumed by the shadow's will. The workshop, where the children toiled, was a place of sorrow. The toys they crafted were twisted parodies, imbued with dark magic. Each toy was a vessel for chaos, meant to spread the shadow's influence in the world of the living. As the townsfolk ventured deeper, they encountered the corrupted elves. The sight was heart-wrenching, for they recognized the faces of their own children, now marred by the shadow's curse. Attempts to reach out to them were met with hostility, the children now nothing more than extensions of the shadow's will. Finally, they reached the center of the realm, where the shadow of St. Nicholas resided. He sat upon a throne of ice, his presence chilling the very air around him, his eyes, devoid of any warmth, fixed upon the intruders with a malevolent glee. "You dare enter my domain!" His voice echoed like the howl of the winter wind. "You seek to challenge the shadow? Foolish mortals, you shall join my legion of shadows." The confrontation was inevitable. The townsfolk, armed with their ancient relics, confronted the shadow. A battle ensued, a clash of light against darkness. The air crackled with magical energy. The ground shook, and the very fabric of the realm seemed to scream in agony. In the chaos of the battle, one of the townsfolk, a mother who had lost her son to the shadow, made her way to the children. With tears in her eyes, she began to sing a lullaby, a melody of love and remembrance. The song, filled with the power of a mother's love, pierced through the darkness. The children, including Tommy, began to stir as if waking from a deep slumber. The song was rekindling a spark within them, a memory of who they once were. The shadow roared in fury, sensing his control slipping away. The battle raged on, the fate of the children and the town of Eldridge hanging in the balance. The shadow's power was immense, but the resolve of the townsfolk was unyielding. They fought not just for survival, but for the souls of their loved ones. In this realm of shadows and sorrow, a battle for redemption was underway, a fight to reclaim the innocence stolen by the darkness of the shadow of St. Nicholas. Part 4. The Clash of Light and Shadow. The battle within the shadow's realm intensified, a maelstrom of magic and raw emotions. The air was charged with the power of ancient relics and the malevolent energy of the shadow. The very ground seemed to pulse with the rhythm of the conflict, a testament to the clash between light and darkness. In the heart of the chaos, the mother's lullaby continued to resonate, a beacon of hope amidst the despair. The children, including Tommy, were visibly struggling against the shadow's grip, their faces contorted in a battle between their emerging selves and the dark will that bound them. The shadow of St. Nicholas, enraged by the challenge to his dominion, unleashed his full fury. His form expanded, enveloping the space in a suffocating darkness, his voice a cacophony of every child's nightmare. "You cannot defeat me," he thundered. "I am the eternal night, the fear in every heart." The townsfolk fought valiantly, their weapons and talismans clashing against the dark magic of the shadow. Each strike against him was met with a counterblow, an exchange of power that rocked the foundations of his realm. Amidst the battle, one of the townsfolk, An elder well-versed in the ancient lore chanted an incantation, a spell of binding that had been passed down through generations. The incantation required a sacrifice, a willing soul to anchor the shadow to his own realm, preventing him from encroaching upon the world of the living. As the elder chanted, a bright light began to emanate from his body, a pure, searing light that contrasted starkly with the surrounding darkness. The shadow, sensing the danger, turned his attention towards the elder, attempting to snuff out the light. The mother, seeing the opportunity, intensified her lullaby, her voice a clear, piercing melody that cut through the darkness. The children, now almost fully awakened from their trance, began to gravitate towards her, their steps hesitant but determined. Tommy, tears streaming down his face, was among the first to reach her. As he took her hand, the last vestiges of the shadow's influence shattered. One by one, the other children followed, each breaking free from the curse that had bound them. The elder, with the last of his strength, completed the incantation. A blinding light enveloped him, and then shot towards the shadow, entwining him in a luminous web. The shadow howled in defeat, his form dissipating, bound to the realm that was now his prison. The realm itself began to unravel, the magic that sustained it collapsing with the shadow's defeat. The townsfolk, with the children in tow, hurried back to the portal, which flickered uncertainly, its stability compromised by the unraveling of the realm. As they crossed the threshold back into the world of the living, the portal collapsed behind them, sealing the shadow and his realm away. They emerged into the cold night of Eldridge, the snow gently falling, a stark contrast to the nightmare they had just escaped. The town of Eldridge breathed a collective sigh of relief. Their children returned, the legend of the shadow of St. Nicholas broken. But the victory was bittersweet. The elder, who had sacrificed himself to bind the shadow, was remembered as a hero, his name etched into the heart of every townsfolk. The children, including Tommy, were reunited with their families, their experience in the shadow's realm a distant, haunting memory. The darkness had been pushed back, but the scars remained, a reminder of the night when the shadow of St. Nicholas nearly consumed their world. As Christmas approached once more, Eldridge celebrated not with the grandeur of festive lights and decorations, but with a quiet, reflective joy. They remembered the bravery of those who had fought and the sacrifice that had saved them. The legend of the shadow of St. Nicholas would be passed down, not as a tale to frighten children, but as a story of hope, resilience, and the enduring power of love against the darkness. Part 5. The Lingering Shadow. In the aftermath of their harrowing ordeal, the town of Eldridge was forever changed. The joyous spirit of Christmas had dimmed, replaced by a cautious relief. Families clung to each other, grateful for the return of their children, but haunted by the memories of that fateful night. Tommy, back in the loving embrace of his family, struggled with the remnants of his experience in the shadow's realm. Nightmares plagued him, visions of the twisted workshop and the cold, unfeeling eyes of the shadow. His laughter, once a common melody in the household, had become a rare and precious sound. The townsfolk, while relieved, could not shake off the feeling of unease. The portal to the shadow's realm had been closed. But the legend of the shadow of St. Nicholas had rooted itself deeply in the town's consciousness. They knew that the darkness they had faced was not easily banished. As the year wore on, the elder's sacrifice was commemorated, a statue erected in the town square in his honor. His final act of bravery had become a symbol of hope for Eldridge, a reminder of the light that exists even in the darkest of times. But as the next Christmas Eve approached, a sense of foreboding settled over the town. The memories of last year's events were still fresh, the wounds still raw. Parents held their children a little tighter, and the festive decorations seemed subdued, a reflection of the town's apprehension. Unknown to the townsfolk, deep within the now sealed realm, the shadow of St. Nicholas stirred. Bound by the elder's sacrifice, he was weakened but not destroyed. His essence lingered, a dark whisper in the fabric of the realm. He waited, biding his time, his hatred for the world of the living growing with each passing moment. In Eldridge, strange occurrences began to unsettle the townsfolk. Toys, eerily similar to those crafted in the Shadow's workshop, were found on the outskirts of the town. Whispers of chilling laughter and fleeting shadows cast doubt and fear into the hearts of the residents. It seemed as though the Shadow's influence was seeping through the cracks of his prison, his malevolent will reaching out to the world he sought to corrupt. Tommy, more sensitive to these disturbances due to his time in the Shadow's realm, felt a growing sense of dread. He confided in his parents, his words laced with fear. "The Shadow, he's still with us. I can feel him." The town's council, alarmed by these developments, convened. They knew that the battle they had fought was not the end, but perhaps only the beginning. The shadow of St. Nicholas, though bound, was not powerless. They feared that his influence might once again extend into their world, bringing with it a renewed terror. As Christmas Eve arrived, a heavy snowfall blanketed Eldridge. The town, once bustling with holiday preparations, was now quiet, the air thick with anticipation and worry. Families gathered in their homes, not in celebration, but in vigilance, keeping watch for any sign of the Shadow's return. In the cold, starless night, a faint, haunting melody could be heard, a chilling echo of the lullaby that had once broken the Shadow's spell. The town of Eldridge, its festive lights dimmed, stood on the brink of a new chapter in the legend of the Shadow of St. Nicholas, a chapter that whispered of unresolved darkness and the lingering threat of a terror yet to be fully unleashed. In the grip of a silent, watchful Christmas Eve, the story of the Shadow of St. Nicholas was far from over. The darkness that had once enveloped the town was poised to return, its shadows reaching out with cold, insidious fingers, ready to weave a new tale of fear and despair.